Parents made up father's illness to embezzle my wedding money and support my darling brother. I found out on a Wednesday. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 3 missed calls from Mom in less than an hour. That was never good. She knew I was at work. She knew I couldn't pick up. If she kept calling, it meant one of two things. Someone died, or she wanted something. I should have let it go to voicemail. I should have known better. When I finally picked up on my break, she sounded breathless, shaky, like she'd been crying. She said Dad was in the hospital. Something about his heart. Tests, doctors, a possible surgery. I barely heard the details. My chest tightened, my mind jumped straight to the worst-case scenario. I told my manager I had a family emergency and left. I should have gone to the hospital. That's what a normal person would do. But something felt off. The way Mom rushed through the details. The way she didn't tell me which hospital. The way she sounded more nervous than sad. I drove to my parents' house instead. And there they were, sitting in the kitchen like it was any other morning. Mom, Dad, and my brother Evan. Coffee cups on the table. A half-eaten cinnamon roll in front of Evan, because of course he'd be eating at a time like this. No hospital wristbands, no paperwork, no urgency. Just a perfectly ordinary breakfast scene, except for the fact that my stomach was twisting itself into knots. Nobody even looked surprised to see me. That was my first clue. The second was the way Mom's eyes darted to Dad before she spoke. Like she was checking to see who would have to lie first. I didn't say anything. Just stood there, waiting. Mom broke first. Said something about how I shouldn't have left work. Like I was the problem here. Like I had overreacted. My fingers curled into my palms. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth hurt. I asked the only question that mattered. Was Dad ever in the hospital? Silence. Just for a second. Just long enough to confirm everything I already knew. Dad exhaled, rubbing his face like he was the real victim here. Mom put a hand on her chest, eyes big and wet, already gearing up to spin it into something softer, something reasonable. And Evan? Evan didn't even look up from his plate. Just kept picking at the cinnamon roll, like he had all the time in the world. I did the math in my head. It didn't take long. $15,000. My wedding fund. The money I had spent 2 years saving. I could see it now, the way it must have happened. Mom going into my account, just like she'd always done when I was younger, when it was. Or emergencies. Because that's what she called it, wasn't it? A family emergency. And Evan really needed help right now. That's what it always came down to. Evan needed something. And when Evan needed something, the rest of the world bent over backward to make sure he got it. Dad finally looked at me and said they would pay me back. Like it was that simple. Like I hadn't just been robbed by the people who were supposed to protect me. I don't know what I expected to feel in that moment. Rage, maybe. Betrayal. Something big enough to shake the walls. But instead, there was just this cold, steady clarity. They weren't sorry. They never would be. They had never even considered asking me, because they had never considered that I might say no. I turned and walked out. Slammed the door behind me so hard I felt the vibration in my ribs. Got into my car, hands on the wheel, breath coming too fast. I should have gone home. I should have called my fiancée. But instead, I just drove. Not toward anything, just away. Because if I stopped, if I let myself think, the weight of it might crush me. Because what do you do when your own family steals from you? When you realize you were never anything more than an open wallet? I didn't have the answer. Not yet. I didn't go home that night. Couldn't face it. Couldn't face him. My fiancé, who had spent months helping me plan a wedding that no longer had a budget. Who would tell me it was okay, that money was just money, that we'd figure it out. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to be comforted. I wanted to be furious. So I drove. Past my apartment. Past the city limits. Found a cheap motel and checked in with cash. The kind of place where nobody asks questions. Where the carpet smells like cigarettes, and the TV remote is sticky, and the air conditioner rattles in the window like it might fall out any second. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. Hours passed like that. Just breathing. Just existing. I should have felt something. Should have cried, screamed, thrown something against the wall. But there was nothing left. Just exhaustion, thick and heavy, pressing down on my ribs. Eventually, I pulled out my phone. 20 missed calls. Half from Mom. A few from Dad. The rest from my fiancé. No voicemails. Just silence waiting for me to break it. I turned off the phone and lay down. Didn't bother undressing. Didn't bother turning off the lights. Just closed my eyes and waited for morning. Waited for whatever came next. It came fast. At checkout, I turned my phone back on. Messages loaded in waves. First the missed calls, then the texts. Mom, we need to talk. Dad, call your mother back. Evan, just chill. You're making a big deal out of nothing. That one made me laugh. Actually laugh. A hollow, bitter sound. Evan had spent his whole life walking into fires and expecting someone else to put them out. And my parents? They'd spent their whole lives making sure he never felt the heat. But the message that really stopped me was from my fiancé. Are you safe? Please just let me know you're okay. No anger. No demands. Just concern. I texted back, I'm okay. Nothing else. No explanations. No promises. Just the truth. Then I drove home. Parked outside the apartment. Sat in the car for 5 full minutes, staring at my front door. My fiancé was waiting inside. He'd have questions. I had no answers. I went in anyway. He was on the couch, phone in hand, looking like he hadn't slept. When he saw me, relief hit his face like a punch. Then worry. Then something else. Something cautious, like he wasn't sure who was walking through that door. I told him everything. Sat there and laid it all out. No sugarcoating, no excuses for them. No pretending this wasn't as bad as it was. He didn't interrupt. Didn't react. Just listened. And when I was done, he sat forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped like he was bracing himself for what came next. We can still get married, he said finally. We'll figure it out. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to fold myself into that hope. But I couldn't. Because this wasn't just about money. This was about trust. About realizing my own parents had never really seen me as a person, just an extension of the family finances. So I told him the truth. I don't know what I want right now. And that was the first honest thing I had said in a long time. I didn't leave the apartment for 2 days. Didn't pick up the phone. Just stayed inside, scrolling through my bank account, hoping for a miracle, knowing deep down it wasn't going to happen. The $15,000 was gone, and that was the end of it. Or so I thought. On the 3rd day, I checked my account again, more out of habit than hope. I was ready to feel that same sickening lurch in my stomach when I saw the empty balance. But this time, it wasn't empty. $15,000 was sitting there, right where it had been before. No explanation. No alerts. Just the money, like it had never been gone. I stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity. My heart pounded in my chest, but not from relief. From confusion. From the sheer weight of it all. How was it possible? Where had it come from? I hadn't transferred anything. There was no deposit. The money was just there. I checked the transaction history. Nothing. Just a blank line. I put the phone down, my hand shaking. Something was off. This wasn't right. Then, the phone buzzed again. An unknown number. Check your account. I didn't want to, but I couldn't help myself. I opened the app again, half expecting the money to be gone. But it was still there. Don't ask questions. Just walk away from this. The message was short. Direct. Too direct. But this time, I didn't feel that familiar rush of panic. I felt clarity. The kind of clarity that only comes after you've spent days staring into the abyss. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I knew what I had to do. I grabbed my phone and dialed. Not my parents. Not Evan. But the one person I hadn't considered, my fiancé. He answered on the second ring. "Are you okay?" I swallowed hard. I didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to explain the mess I was in. The lies, the theft, the silent betrayal. But I knew I had to tell him everything. So I did. I told him about the money showing up, the mysterious message, and about how I was starting to see things for what they were. When I finished, he didn't say anything at first. Just let the silence stretch between us. "I think I know who did it," he said quietly. I frowned, not understanding. "What do you mean?" he exhaled. "I've been watching your parents for years. You might not see it, but I've seen it. The way they treat you. The way they treat Evan. They've been doing this to you for a long time. Taking from you. Using you. Maybe they don't even realize how bad it's gotten. Maybe they do." I felt the weight of his words settle on my chest like a stone. For the first time, I saw it too. All those little things. The way they always relied on me, never on Evan. The way they guilted me into giving, and giving, and giving until I had nothing left. But this was different. This was manipulation, pure and simple. I stared at the screen of my phone. The money was still there. But it wasn't a gift. It wasn't a miracle. It was a message. From someone who knew exactly how far my parents would go to keep their lives comfortable at my expense. I didn't call my parents that day. Or the next. Instead, I called the bank and had them freeze the account. Then I made an appointment with a lawyer. I had no intention of ever seeing that money again. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about me. About drawing the line. About taking back control. A week later, I met with my parents. They didn't know what hit them. When they asked about the money, I told them the truth. I told them I knew what they had done, and I wasn't giving them a dime. Not 1 cent. And if they tried to touch my account again, I'd make sure they felt the consequences. The looks on their faces were priceless. Mom tried to backpedal. Dad tried to explain, but I didn't care. I didn't need them to understand. I needed them to feel something. Real regret. Real consequences. And when they left, I felt nothing. Not relief. Not triumph. Just a strange, hollow kind of peace. The next day, I transferred the $15,000 to my fiancé's account. We had a real conversation about the wedding, about what mattered and what didn't. We started planning from scratch. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't the dream wedding I'd envisioned. But it was ours. No one could take that from us. And that was the moment I finally realized that the only person who had the power to protect me all along was me.